The Korean wave now back on the spotlight, with the industry showing signs of improvement amid thawing relations between Korea and China. Let's take a closer look.
It was the biggest discount season of the year as China marked Singles' Day on November 11th. Korea also enjoyed increased sales demand. Since Korea deployed a U.S. THAAD missile defense battery in July, China has strongly retaliated by banning all Korean Wave content from local media. But on this year's Singles' Day, Korean celebrities reappeared on TV commercials. Chinese state media CCTV provided live coverage of Korean retail stores on Singles' Day and also reported on the upcoming Pyeongchang Winter Olympic Games and wedding by Korean celebrities. Sales at duty-free stores on Singles' Day increased by 30% compared to same period last year, while online shopping mall sales doubled. Korean retailers were rejuvenated from the prolonged side effects of the THAAD dispute. China launched economic retaliations over the THAAD issue, starting with Korean Wave content, which took the heaviest blow. All broadcasts of Korean dramas and entertainment programs were prohibited, and public appearances of Korean actors and singers were cancelled. The culture content industry, in which China took up 30% of overall exports, rapidly stagnated. Surplus from the Korean Wave shrank by 40% compared to the same period last year.
The Korean Wave as a cultural content industry has now established itself a huge market. We've now come to a point where exports and investments in cultural content have a big impact on our economy.
The Korean Wave ban was having a spillover effect on the country's overall economy. But the situation is on the mend, as Korea and China announced measures to improve bilateral ties last month. Also, President Moon Jae-in and Chinese Premier Li Keqiang met on the sidelines of ASEAN Forum in Manila, showing signs of thawing ties.
양국 국민들이 한중 관계가 진정한 봄을 맞이했다는 것을 피부로 체감할 수 있도록 함께 노력해 나가기를 바람하지 않습니다.
They say when spring comes, the river becomes warm and ducks in the water can feel them.
Korean Wave is at a new turning point for more sustainable development after weathering through this crisis. Not only the issue important for the cultural sector to solve, but there are moves to raise national interest in the Korean Wave. One way is to encourage teenage students, the leading source of cultural consumption in the country, to seek ways to improve Korean Wave.
Students are not interested in promoting the Korean Wave or the cultural industry itself. This is why we want to raise the awareness, and I think the more students are exposed to the globalization of the Korean Wave, the more chance they will have to contribute to it in the future.
On the other hand, separating political military affairs and the economy has not been carried out better than expected. Korean Wave has been easily influenced by diplomatic issues in the past. In 2011, Japan had its own anti-Korean wave due to dispute between the two countries involving Dokdo Island.
When the dispute occurred on Senkaku Island between Japan and China in 2012, Japan saw adverse effects in all sectors ranging from tourism to cultural content, retail and automobile industries. Economic retaliation stemming from diplomatic dispute often begins with cultural content.
Culture can easily reach out to people since it's closely related to various aspects of our lives and the wider public. I think it's important for everyone to be more cautious and have a sense of balance.
Some point out that the aimless expansion of Korean Wave had made it lose its unique identity. With Hong Kong and Japan having once been cultural content leaders in Asia before they were replaced by Korea, there is no guarantee of the future without further content development.
Feedback from annual fact-finding surveys show Korean Wave is no longer original and are too dependent on exports. Instead of rehashing old content for short-term exports, we need to develop fresh content that can succeed in the long run.
With Korean Wave in a transition period, it is hoped that the growth in long-term sustainable content development will support the Korean economy.